Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to put brakes and rotors on the wife's 2015 Subaru Outback, coming up next. Alrighty, that is right. We are replacing the pads and rotors on the wife's 2015 Outback. It's got about 182,000 miles on it, and this is the first major brake service we've done on it. The rotors are original, and I think the pads, I know the rears are original. The front ones, I thought I replaced, but I didn't see anything in my maintenance log, so they may be original too. Now, 180,000+ miles on the factory rotors and pads. Most of her driving has been between here, northern Minnesota, all highway driving, very little, maybe less than 10% of her driving is actually in town or stop and go traffic. So have brakes and rotors last this long is awesome. And what we've got is the raybestos rotors with the rust inhibitor on them, and then Bosch pads. So let's stop talking and get working. Alrighty, well, I knocked off the tire. You've seen one tire come off, you've seen them all. The plates or the brackets for the calipers are 17 mil. The calipers themselves are 14 mil. I already did hit them with some penetrant, so we'll hopefully they come off without too much frustration. We will see. Not too bad, almost popped a vein. I'm gonna get the breaker bar. Let's see if I can knock these calipers loose quick. That one came right loose. Yep, both of those came loose. All right, let's see what I can do with the breaker bar. A lot of times there's not a lot of room in here. Looks like just enough to knock it loose. All right, everyone's loose. Let's finish removing the caliper itself first. Set him here for now. Let's take a look. Well, front pads look like I may have replaced them at some point in time, because they've still got some beef on them. But nonetheless, everything is going. Because there are some pretty deep grooves on these original rotors. So as long as everything's apart, let's just do it and be done with it. Let's go ahead and hang up our caliper. With the patented caliper holder 4000. Yeah, I was kind of afraid the rotors would be stuck on here, so I'm going to throw a little penetrant back here and let it sit for a little bit. Alrighty, well, I've been looking for a bolt to fit into these holes. Depending on your rotor, you may have a couple of holes here to actually twist in and push the rotor out and away from the car. I looked for a good 15 minutes and I don't have anything that size, and I was just about to go back to resorting to the sledgehammer, and I found this sitting on the shelf. Not a bolt, looks like it was a battery hold down from something, but we're going to put a channel lock on it, twist it, and see if it'll work. There we go. He popped off. Let me get this back out. rotor. Yeah, inside wasn't bad. Outside was definitely grooved. You can see, focus. A little bit of a groove. I could have turned them down, but they've got enough other surface rust on them that we'll just replace them. And if Rock Auto shipped the right rotors and the right pads together, then I have my Bosch Quiet Cast pads, and I have the Raybestos Element 3 rotors with the rust preventative stuff baked into them. I put these on the pickup, I put them on the old BMW, put them on the other BMW, and they've all done just fine. So, especially here in our Minnesota winters, they've held up pretty well. Of course, they packed the front rotors with the rear pads. And set these bad boys back on. Just like that. Find our caliper. I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on those caliper bolts just because. Or sorry, the caliper bracket bolts and the calipers too. So let me go find the Loctite. Here we go. Got the good old Permatex blue thread lock. One bolt. Two bolts. Not that I'm terribly worried, but why not take the extra couple of seconds and toss some goo on there and just be certain, especially when it's your wife and kids driving around. Well, that was certainly the most frustrating part of the process, trying to get the caliper bracket lined back up. Alrighty, those are in. We have new caliper hardware brackets. So we'll go ahead and put those on. Look at all the parts. That's not in English. Parts and shims. All right. New pieces of hardware, clip right in. Might need a little help to push in place. This should have a one direction only. Alrighty, now we've got our caliper. We can get that back up here. Well, let me grab my caliper tool. It's a pretty neat little deal. Pretty neat deal. Let me come up here by you real quick. And basically it's a ratchet that as you turn it, it expands this out to push the calipers back in. Now you can use something like a C-clamp, a block of wood, something to push these pistons back into the caliper. Whatever works for you. I just happened to grab one of these. I saw somebody else use it a number of years ago and it worked pretty well because I never seem to have C-clamps around when I need them where they were tied up with some other project. So now I have my own handy tool. I will try and drop a link to it below. It's also in my Amazon affiliate store. Basically, we just want to go ahead and slowly push these pistons back in. So we can get the new pads installed. That should hopefully be enough. her off. Take one and the other. Now these do have wear guides on them too, so we'll know when they are getting low and needing to be replaced again. There we go. Backside here you just kind of have to feel, unless you want to dig your head around. Here we go. Oh, that just took a while, but they're in. Now I'll see if we've got enough room for our caliper to slide back over. We don't, so let me compress it just a little more. Now we should have plenty of space. Yes, we do. Throw a little bit of blue Loctite. Let's grab the other bolt, set that in. Alrighty. Seem to collect a pile of stuff around me, and things disappear. All right, we'll crank these down. Click. Alrighty, go put our wheel back on and our lugs. I'm going to go over and do the other front side here. On the driver's side, we'll spin the car around and come around and look at the back end. It's going to be very similar to the front side, but we'll show you just in case. Well, we got the front brakes done, not a big deal, and backed in here, and I actually already did the passenger side rear brake because all my tools are already over there. So we're going to go ahead and finish up the driver's side, and it's a little bit different than the front brakes. So first of all, in the back, we have two little plastic caps. If you can get them off. Screwdriver may help. Just a couple of dust caps for your caliper hardware. And instead of the 14 mil sockets, these have number 7 H7 hex head to loosen them up and remove them. Nothing totally specialized. You should be able to grab it at any hardware store. My local O'Reilly had them from another project. Knock them loose. No big deal there. Now the one larger thing to be aware of is these rear brakes have the electronic parking brake in them, right here. And for that, you do need a scan tool. A lot of times your standard $20 one will get it done for you. I've got my Autel Maxi Assist, which has a brake maintenance mode in it, which you have to enable and then disable to disengage the electronic parking brake from holding it on, which is going to prevent you from retracting that piston into the caliper. Once you've done that, turn on that brake maintenance mode, you can go ahead and collapse that piston into the caliper, no problem at all. Now on the back of here, it's tough to see, but there's the whole assembly for releasing this parking brake, and if you don't have the scan tool to do it or means to do that, you can take off a plate back here and thumb screw or thumb adjust the mechanism to release that brake. I use my scan tool, so if you want to figure that out, I'll try and drop a link below to somebody else's channel on how to get that off. Now, should just be able to pry off the caliper after we take our hardware off. Got this thing here holding everything together. All right. Sorry for my knee being in the way. Just one of those things that I kind of need. Let's see if I can press against that assembly. There we go. You can see I can collapse that piston pretty easily right now. And that should let that caliper come off just like that. Our old pads, yeah, those were definitely worn down to nothing. But again, 182,000 miles. The outer still had 3/16 of an inch on it. Inner one, nothing. Now our caliper bracket, that's going to be a 14 mil. If I can find it. That's the frustrating part. I've got so many parts under my butt. Go ahead and knock these off. Alrighty, here's our new rotor. Go ahead and set him right on here. Super easy. We've got our caliper bracket bolts. Get a little bit of the blue stuff. There we go. Let's get our brake hardware wherever I put that. Now I know they do give you some brake grease to put with this, but out here in the country on the dirt roads, all that's going to do is attract dirt and dust and lead to other issues prematurely. So that's why I am not putting it on in this case. Put a little dab of blue stuff on the caliper bolts themselves. There we go. All right. Take our hanger out of here so we don't forget it. We've got our little dust caps that go back in here on our calipers. 1 and 2. And we have our brake hardware that goes out here. Here we go, tap everybody back in place. Last but not least, we'll throw our tire back on. Grab our torque wrench here. Book says 90 pounds. Now, probably tough to tell, but I've got my scanner here. Going to the brake maintenance mode. I've got an option now to return to normal braking mode since I'm done with the maintenance. I click OK. Yes, brake pad, rotor, caliper installed correctly. Yes. It says press the brake pedal until a full stroke is reached. There we go. Now it's happy. Alrighty, well, I'm not sure if you heard it, but I pretty much went back out, went back into the brake system, and then turning on the ignition, clicking through the little buttons here, and then pressing the brake pedal. It figured out where it wants to be happy, and all systems are go again. Now, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for the brakes. They do suggest after a few miles to check the torque on your lug nuts, so I'm going to do that tomorrow, make sure we're still sitting at that 90 pounds, and then we're going to be good to go for probably another 180,000 miles. Dang, if we hit 360,000 miles in the Subaru, that's impressive. Not that it kept running, just that we've kept a car that long. So anyways, that's going to wrap this one up. Probably one of the last videos up here in the garage for a while. The weather has turned. Most of our tools, body materials, welder, everything has been moved down to the shop for the summer. So we're going to come back with, I don't know, something on the 52, maybe the Challenger, maybe the Plymouth, maybe something else new down there to work on. Anyways, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Get notified whenever we put out new content. Don't forget we are posting stuff over on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those socially things that kids like. Until the next video, have fun doing what you're doing, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.